Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Be a Better You podcast. I am your host and subconscious healing expert, Allison K. Dagny. Now, today we're going to be talking about something that I haven't ever talked about on this podcast, about reclaiming your power and why seeking validation from others outside of you often keeps you stuck. So, what I want to ask you first is, have you ever felt really amazing after somebody told you how beautiful you are, or smart, or successful? Have you ever just felt lit up by a compliment, right? Even just like the tiniest compliment. But then, in another moment, completely crushed when someone made a negative comment about you, or you heard something that was just not very nice about you. So why does this happen? Why is it that what is happening outside of us and other people's opinions about us can either make us feel really great or really down? Well, it's because when we rely on validation from others, we hand over our power, allowing those other people to determine and decide our worth, how we feel, our emotions, and even what we believe to be true about ourselves. So my first question before we dive into this is, what if you could feel secure in who you are without needing outside approval? Wouldn't that be amazing? And I think that the reason this is so important is because we can't just not wish and hope for people to not say bad things about us or, give us some sort of negativity, right? So today we are going to be breaking down why external validation feels so good and why it's so dangerous, right? External validation feels good, but it's also dangerous. And how love bombing plays into this cycle, and then what it takes to reclaim your power for good. So the first thing I wanted to tell you is, before we get too far into this episode, is that I have a lot of resources on my website. If you have never been out to my website, I'd highly encourage you to go check it out. There are free resources, and there are also different layers of paid resources as well. So for instance, if you're struggling with rumination, I have a $15 course that you can go online and take. It is self-paced and you can do it on your own. It's a little less than 3 hours total. I have an I'm Worthy immersion program, which is a 7-week self-paced course that you can take online as well. And that one is $197. So there's different layers of support that you can have, even my online community that you can join if you want community support and live coaching. So just if you haven't taken a look, you might want to check out the link in the bottom of the show notes, click on that and browse around and see if there's something out there that would fit your needs. I try to make it as diverse as possible to be able to support people in whatever stage that you might be in your healing journey. Now, let's talk about the validation trap, okay, and how we're giving our power away. So when you are seeking validation from other people, this might look like feeling really amazing when you get the slightest compliment. Somebody says, "Oh, I really like your shirt." And then you're just like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." Or "You did such a great job at this." And you just really start feeling lit up. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't feel good when people compliment you. That's not what I'm saying at all. But if you are then devastated when people criticize you, or it's really hard for you when you are receiving any sort of negative comments or criticisms, this is probably a good sign that you are seeking external validation and giving your power away. Other things would be like needing other people to confirm your choices before feeling confident in them. So like if you're really unsure about something and then you want to call all of your friends up and all of your family members and say, "What should I do? And is this the right thing? And this is what I was thinking I should do," right? I've been there. I know what this is like. And if you're just not sure and you're reaching out and needing other people to validate those decisions, then this is another clue. Changing your behavior, appearance, or personality based on what gets praise, or even like watering yourself down to fit in or to be accepted. These are also ways that we give our power away. So if you find yourself doing these kinds of things, then that is a good indication that you might be in this validation trap. Another clue would be feeling really empty or lost or even rejected when validation is taken away, when people refuse to acknowledge you or affirm you. And if that is happening, then again, that's a clue that you're giving your power away. So let me give you a few examples of these compliments and like external approval types of things. So if someone tells you, you're so pretty, and then you feel great about it, right? What happens when someone else says, you're not that attractive, or somebody else has a different opinion about that, okay? Another would be if someone says, oh, you're so smart, and then you light up and you feel really happy. But then what happens when someone questions your intelligence or says something different, okay? When you attach your worth to external praise, right? You are then at the mercy of other people's opinions. And this is a huge indication of us getting stuck in this validation trap of needing other people's approval, okay? So your subconscious mind plays a huge role in this. And when you have a belief such as, I need other people's validation, or I need other people to approve of me. Okay, if this is something that is running along in your subconscious mind, then that is probably something that you want to start to challenge and explore. Now, a lot of times, people who have these sort of beliefs and feelings of needing that external validation just need to start with self-worth. So for instance, like I said before, my I'm Worthy immersion program is designed to help you feel worthy about yourself. And so if you want to get into that particular online course, that would be a great place to start. And the reason why that's important is because it's hard to just shift into a different thought like I don't need other people to approve or validate me, because chances are, if this is something that you are feeling and experiencing, you've been feeling and experiencing it for a very long time. Chances are it started way back into childhood when you were looking for approval from your parents, or caregivers, when you were not feeling good unless you were affirmed, and you were always feeling bad, rejected, possibly abandoned, if people did not validate you. Okay, so it's really important to first acknowledge that this is a problem, that I am giving my power away. I am stuck in this validation trap. I do need people's validation and approval of me in order to feel good, right? That's an acknowledgement. But then it is going to be about shifting into self-worth and knowing that you can affirm yourself, you can validate yourself, and you don't need other people to do that for you. Now, this might, sound very easy on the surface, and it can be, but you really got to start with validating yourself, with learning of the things that you deeply value, those deeply held values of things like, let's say that you really value communication, or you really value humor, or you really value kindness, right? If you can show your mind times when you have showed up and embodied those values, you're going to increase your self-worth. And that's exactly what I teach you how to do in the I'm Worthy immersion program. So if that's something that's resonating with you, you might want to check that out. Now let's talk about one of the biggest manipulative tactics that plays into this that you may have experienced, which is love bombing. Now, I experienced this, and I wrote about it in my book, When Tears Leave Scars. But chances are, if you're listening to this, you probably know what this is. If you're not, I'll just give you a quick example. So love bombing is really just over-the-top compliments, affection, attention, fast-moving love in a relationship. Now, this can happen in a romantic relationship. It can happen in a friendship, a work relationship, neighbors. Like, it can happen in all kinds of scenarios. It's not just romantic love. But the purpose is to make you dependent on that person's validation for your own happiness. Because if that happens, then they have all the power, and all they have to do is flip the switch, and then they can make you do whatever they want, right? Because you're going to constantly be seeking that validation from them, and they can withhold it very easily. So once they have you hooked, they pull away, and then they leave you desperate to, quote unquote, win their approval back because you want to feel good. So if you're constantly chasing that happiness, it's because they have the keys to how you feel. So let's explore an example of this. At first, let's say that you are in a relationship with someone. They are flooding you with compliments. They're telling you you're the most amazing person I've ever met. And you really are feeling incredible. Like, you're feeling wonderful inside. But later, after the love bombing is over, and this love bombing can happen for weeks to months, but later they may withdraw that affection or say something hurtful to you, and then you start feeling desperate to get back to how things were at the beginning because it felt so good, right? So they kind of, trap you into this, like, I don't know what feeling it is, but like just all these feel-good emotions, and then they have so much power over you to control how you feel later. And that's the trap, right? So when someone else's words are able to affect your emotions so easily, then they control you. So an old belief that you might be carrying, it would be something like, if someone adores me, I must be valuable. Or if someone compliments me, I must be worthy. So you have to think about what it might be that you're carrying as far as a subconscious belief that you're making it mean something about you if people treat you well, right? But then if you have the opposite thing, right, happening to you and they're not treating you well, then you will automatically determine that you're not valuable if you're not treated well, right? So if someone adores me, I'm valuable. If someone doesn't adore me, I'm not valuable, right? Do you see the flaw in this, right? Because the truth is that your worth doesn't change based on how someone is treating you. You are worthy the same regardless of how someone treats you. But if we are believing that if someone's complimenting me, if they're treating me nice, if they are acting loving towards me, then I'm valuable, right? If you flip it and they're not doing those things, then you'll make it mean you're not valuable. But that's just not true. Because love bombing isn't the only way that we give our power away. And I need to say that because it can just happen daily, right? When in our lives, when we internalize what other people think about us. Now, that brings me to this internalization topic versus observing. And this is important because we need to stop adopting other people's opinions as truth. So let's define this internalizing thing, okay? So if you're taking in someone else's opinion about you and adopting that as a universal truth about yourself, that would be an example of internalizing it. So someone else says, you are an amazing person. And you're like, oh, I love that. I'm going to take that and I'm going to adopt that and I'm going to make this a universal truth about myself. But what if they say you're a terrible mom? And then you do the same thing and you internalize it and you make it true about yourself, right? This is someone else's opinion outside of you that you are adopting as a truth about yourself. Same thing like if someone calls you lazy and then you start to believe it, even if it's not true. Sometimes these things become self-fulfilling prophecies. And even positive opinions can be dangerous if you let them define you. This is important, right? Can we let go of someone's positive opinion about us? Because truly, positive opinions and negative opinions are just opinions, okay? So it's important not to hang on so tightly to the ones that are positive either, because then we may be making it mean something about us if that person takes it away or if they change their tune about us. Now, let's let me ask you a few reflection questions to help you break this habit of adopting other people's opinions as truth, okay? So when someone says something about you or compliments you or criticizes you, either way, you got to ask yourself, do I believe this because it's true or because I like the way it makes me feel? So this would be an example of when somebody says something positive. Do I like it because it's true or because I like the way it makes me feel? And so you'll want to answer that. And am I making this am I making this opinion my identity? That's important too, because sometimes when people, like let's say multiple people say the same thing about you, like your parents are saying you're so smart, your friends are saying you're so smart, your romantic partners are saying that. Now you're making it your identity that you're so smart. But there's so many more things about you than just being smart, right? So it's really important to not just take these things just because people give them to you, right? You don't have to accept everything people say about you, whether it's good or it's bad. And this is just part of being in an element of self-awareness. The last question might be something like, what happens if this person changes their mind about me, right? Like somebody says something really amazing to you about you, and then you take that on as your identity. But what if they change their mind? Does that mean that thing they said before wasn't true? Does that mean that what they said before was a lie? Like why are they changing their mind about me? Well, because people change their minds, right? The first opinion may be accurate, maybe it's not. And again, this goes for good or bad. This goes for positive affirmations and validations as well as criticisms, okay? So that's what I'm trying to drive home here, is that we can't just hang on to all the great things that everybody says about us in the same way that we do to all the negative things. We just have to make them neutral. So if you are seeking support versus seeking validation, then that is something entirely different, right? Like there's nothing wrong with receiving love and encouragement and support from people. But if you believe you need people around you to feel whole, you are disempowered. There's nothing wrong with reaching out for help, right? I have lots and lots of tools, and you can reach out to me for help, right? But if you believe that I can't do this by myself, or I'm not able to be alone, or I need people to feel okay, right? Then that is you seeking external validation when we need to go internal and validate ourselves. So ultimately, you have to learn to trust yourself and stand in that self-trust, even if other people disagree with you, even if people don't see things the same way that you do, right? Because really, at the end of the day, you're the one that matters. The opinion that matters most is what you think about yourself. Because when you think good things about yourself and you believe in yourself and you know yourself and trust yourself, then what's going to happen is you're going to be attracting in the people who see those same things in you as well. Okay? So this is not a bad thing. This is a really good thing to seek internal validation from yourself instead of always wondering, what do other people think? And I'm not going to be okay unless I have people, or I need others to validate me. So if you have beliefs like I need others to see my value in order to believe it myself or in order to be okay, right? That's going to hold you back from being able to stand in your own skin and feel good about who you are. And again, you're going to be giving away your power in that case. And just remember that you are the one that gets to decide your worth. It's not other people that get to decide that, right? Because here's the thing. Let's just say that I see someone out, I meet them for the very first time, I don't know them personally, and that person has a really strong sense of self-worth. They're like, I love myself, I like myself, I'm funny, I'm smart, I'm all these wonderful things. Like that person is a full embodiment of self-worth, okay? If I come along and say, yeah, you're not good enough, yeah, you're not worthy enough, you're not this, you're not that, that person's just going to be like, well, you don't matter because I already believe in myself. I already know my worth. I already know these things, right? So what my opinion is or anyone else's opinion really doesn't matter. So that's why it's so important to validate yourself, to know what you truly value, and then get on board with that and embody it and show your brain that you are the things that you value. And like I said, this is exactly what I do inside my online I'm Worthy immersion program is you will identify the things that you value on a very deep level, and then you will validate those things and you will show your brain that you are those things. Because how can you not love yourself if you are proving to yourself that you embody those values? So now you might be wondering, okay, great, I hear you, but how do we take our power back? How do we stop letting these outside opinions dictate how we feel? Well, number one is to recognize when you're seeking approval. Okay, notice when your emotions rise or fall based on what someone else says about you or how they act toward you. If they roll their eyes at you, whatever that might be, right? Recognize it. Notice those emotions, like if you're out and about and somebody says something nice to you. Because what should happen here is whether someone says something nice or someone says something not nice, you should be neutral. That's how you know that you got your power back, because you know the truth inside of yourself, that you are valuable regardless of what someone says, whether it's good or bad. The other step here is to question the source. Ask yourself, is this true? Would everyone agree with this? Everyone in the whole wide world, right? If not everyone in the whole wide world would agree with it, then maybe you're just believing it for some reason, okay? If you have blue eyes and someone says you have blue eyes, then you're like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. If they say you have beautiful blue eyes, you might say, is this true? Would everyone say that? Some people might be like, I don't think blue eyes are beautiful. They might say, I think brown eyes are beautiful, right? So are you just believing it, or is it actually true? You got to question the source. The third thing is give yourself the validation that you're seeking. Instead of needing other people to affirm you, practice affirming it yourself, right? If you feel really good in an outfit that you just bought and you are outside walking to your job or to your car or whatever, and no one notices your outfit, does that matter? Can you notice your outfit? Can you look in the mirror? Can you look in the reflection of yourself in the car or the window that you passed by and just be like, oh, I love this outfit, right? Instead of needing other people to affirm you, practice affirming yourself, right? This is important. You have to give yourself the validation that you seek outside. Then this shift will start to happen and you won't need other people to give you that validation. The last step here would be to detach praise as well as criticism, like I was mentioning before. If you're not relying on compliments to feel good, you won't be destroyed by insults either. It's a two-way street. It has to be both. So if you're somebody who really gets filled up by compliments, you're going to have to start trying to bring yourself back to neutral on that, because you don't want the person who is giving those compliments to be in charge of how you feel. All right? You want to be in charge of it. Now, your power really lies in this neutral space. So true power is when somebody calls you an amazing person and you smile because you already knew it. Like you already knew that about yourself, right? Not because you're shocked by somebody saying it and then you start feeling good. And when somebody insults you, you just shrug because you know that's not who you are. That's where the power comes from. So if you have subconscious thoughts running through your mind or things that you're saying, such as like, other people's opinions matter, or other people's words really define me, that's going to have to be something that you're going to have to shift and work through. Like, wait a minute, is that actually true? Because I know that, I don't define other people. I might have an opinion about them, but that doesn't actually define who they are or change who they are. That's just my opinion, right? And it's the same thing if other people have opinions about you. So the moment that you can stop relying on other people to tell you who you are is really the moment that you take your power back. And I can't emphasize the importance of this enough to really learn how to love yourself. Self-love is the key to healing. It is the number one thing that I worked on for myself, as well as what I work on with all of my clients. So if today's episode spoke to you, if you found yourself resonating with the things that I was saying, then maybe it's time to start shifting this pattern for yourself, because you truly don't need somebody else to approve of you in order to be whole, because you already are. Now, I said earlier, I have many ways that you can start working through these things, whether it's in my Break Free from Rumination course, whether it's the I'm Worthy Immersion program, or my online community, Radiate and Rise, or if you want to work with me one-on-one on a really deep level with personalized support, then that is an option for you as well. So I hope that you will definitely check those things out and reach out to me if you have any questions, or if you're like, yeah, I don't really know where to start. What would be the best thing for me? I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you what I think would benefit you the most. And I would be happy to do that for you. So thank you so much for being here, for listening. I hope you will learn to validate yourself and not look for that validation from others, whether it's good or bad, and not really define yourself by what other people think. So thanks so much for being here, and I will talk to you guys next week.